Wow, like I don't even know how to do this anymore. Hey, everybody, welcome to Stormwatch. This is an emergency Stormwatch. Just FYI, because we finally got our Christmas present that we wanted for years.
No, you stop it.
We got our next log for Jay. Everybody, we got it. Actually, we didn't. We're gonna talk about that. We are so gonna talk. But before I introduce one new person and go for the round, first of all, thanks to Overwatch for getting this all set up last minute, because we did this last minute. But given that this is the React2Shell edition of Stormwatch, guys, ready? All right, let's do it. I want to see him.
Oh god.
Oh wait. Does this count?
Actually, yeah. Okay, you got it.
Shell. Oh, that's a good one.
Sorry about that. I needed a bit. I needed to do it.
It's got this next bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I'm the only person not with a prompt.
Yes. Sure. So everybody, Glenn. Say hi, Glenn.
Hi, Glenn.
Everybody knows Todd. Say hi, Todd.
Hello, internet.
Everybody does not know Noah, and we call him Stone internally because we have far too many Noah. There are far too many Noahs in the world. Just FYI. Just saying there are. So Noah, could you please give a short little introduction about yourself and what you do here, and a little bit of your background so people know why they should listen to you right now?
Yeah, what do you do now? Yeah, so my name is Noah Stone. Thanks, y'all. It's pretty cool to actually be on here after like seeing these circles. Like, for how many times have I seen these circles? Now I'm one of these circles. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so my name is Noah Stone, everybody, and I am our content guy. I'm head of content at GreyNoise Intelligence. So I work closely with Bob, with Glenn, with everybody on the research team, with product. I mean, I'm technically in marketing. Work with everybody to kind of get this content out to everybody on our socials and to customers and all that kind of stuff. Just trying to get this intelligence from our product to you in the best way possible, pretty much.
Very cool. So we're doing this because a little thing happened last week. I'm going to be this could be a shocker to everybody. I'm going to be a bit unkind, a little bit to some places on today's pod episode thingy. First of all, Next.js is garbage software, so that's just one. So you shouldn't be running. And React is also garbage software, so you also shouldn't run that. And now you're learning why. The second thing you're learning why is that I don't care how responsibly disclosed this was. It's not really fair when like giant behemoths that run the internet get an advance notice so they can semi-protect their customers and the people behind them, leaving the rest of you out to dry. So the people that did that, you all suck. Sorry if you're listening to this. Come fight me. I'll go somewhere. I don't care. You shouldn't do that. You were bad people. You should feel very bad about yourself.
Bob has 6 months of grievances to air right now.
Oh yes, I do. I have so many grievances. And listen, I spent 4 days at least, like 12, 16, because I'm not sleeping, doing this stupid analysis of this stuff because people are slinging exploits everywhere. So
I can attest to that. Bob has not slept in the past like 72 hours.
Yeah. So we are not going to keep slides. We don't have slides, and we're not going to keep screens up a whole lot. But for the people that are out there, we'll put them in show notes because I'm not going to make Ashley try to figure out the URLs. We did a blog post on Friday, almost got there in time to beat Amazon to the punch of the first cool technical blog post about stuff people were saying. I forgot how to use Webflow, so I couldn't do it. It's my fault. And so they changed the interface. They put AI stickers everywhere.
Just couldn't.
Yeah, we were there, but like there's an AI button in Webflow. If I don't want to press that looks scary. So I'm not so we missed it. But we were really close because we've been watching this. A couple of things about this. So the team, the amazing security research and detection engineering team, they were all over this. I want to thank Wiz and I want to thank Watchtower for talking. Like I'm not sure if I'm not supposed to tell. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell people that they talked to us, but they talked to us. And they didn't give us anything per se, but when we bounced stuff off of them, we got great stuff back, which was awesome. And the team was watching all the slop exploits go out, and we tried to ignore all the slop exploits. There were so many, it's terrible. We're probably gonna do a whole episode on that in 2026. And yes, because there will be more Stormwatch in 2026.
Wait a minute. There's gonna be Stormwatch in 2026.
There is. Oh yes. I mean, until the nukes happen, and then there won't be anything. But until the nukes happen, we have Stormwatch. Anyway,
you're gonna
nukes are so tired, Bob.
Did you not watch the movie that came out like a month ago? It's bad.
Tailored RNA virus is
Wait,
wild.
That'd be cool. All right, so they got a good exploit, and they got the detection for it out, and then almost at the exact same time, Remy, I don't know how he got to the time to do it, but he actually managed to get a couple Next.js profiles, that vulnerable ones, up as well. And I'm not going to tell him how many. And then we waited, and I might have actually been watching the actual incoming hits start as soon as everybody else figured out, we have a real exploit now. And so we got a blog post out there, and just so people can, and we're not the only ones. We got our friends over at Census who are all on an internal hackathon and don't care enough about Stormwatch to be on here. So you guys suck too.
Well,
and so they got one out, and then I got to be upfront with everybody, like I always am. Of the three, because Census is here in spirit, they are always. I'm going to have more stuff from. We're going to show them. Of all the three of us that are talking about, three companies talk about this right now, Todd's Run Zero is the bestest one, because they can tell you where all this garbage is and help you not do bad, help you find it and then get it patched. And then not so these of all of us, these folks had your back immediately if you would actually use them. And so if you're not using them, you should feel bad and you should use them. I mean, I'm saying that, that's not Todd saying that, like that, they're not doing that. And what I want to tell people also is this is the current state of React2Shell, React server components, unsafe deserialization, yada yada yada. And we're going to talk all about the IPs out there. I just wanted to set the table first with everybody, and I'm going to shut up for a minute because I want to hear what. First of all, Todd,
yes,
you guys were all over this too.
Heck yeah.
Give everybody the Run Zero perspective of this vulnerability and what you guys are having to deal with it.
So yeah, I mean, we wake up every day, we put our pants on one leg at a time, like everybody else, and then we kick out awesome detections for novel bugs du jour. And that's kind of how what we do here. And by we, I want to say, yeah, this was a Matthew Kenow gig.
Oh yeah.
I believe he wrote this initially. Everybody helps, obviously. His name's on the blogs. Blame him. And yeah, it's so what you showed there was our rapid response. And so we kick those out typically, in hours of learning of a thing. I think this one came out early-ish, December 5th, I think. So it wasn't like instant or anything, but it's pretty close. There's also a nuclei template that we vetted. It now ships in Run Zero. It's not invasive or anything. It does very similar. It's a more direct vulnerability check than the tech check, but you can use either or both or whatever, right? And find it in your network, right? Because that's like the most important thing for people like right now. Like, what do I do today? Like, not even like, do I auto patch it? Do I just have it, right? Because like the big deal is shadow IT, other people's stuff that hangs out in your network. We found cases where like, you have an office and you go to the office, right? Because you have a 20th century style business. And sometimes your office also has gear on your network from your landlord that you might not have known about. And so that's the kind of thing that Run Zero is really good at finding, right? Because we don't require you to log it. Blah, 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 sales, right? Like, the moral of the story is that if you haven't, done a quick assessment, looked at, the assessments that you already have, look yesterday.
How valuable would a asset inventory and software inventory have been?
Such a thing would have been incredibly valuable and continues to be incredibly valuable. We all know that the most popular asset management system on earth is Excel. We're gunning for that number 2.
Are you sure it's not G Sheets now? Are you sure it's not G Sheets?
I don't know. I think it's still probably Excel.
Okay.
Maybe G Sheets is number 2.
It's still Excel with 14 versions of Final.
Right.
Excel
final
V2.
parenthesis 5.
I want to go next to Glenn because Glenn is
Hello, Bob.
probably the best person at forging and keeping relationships with security researchers, really good ones.
Oh, that kind of forging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were
Yes,
gonna say like
yes.
science degree or something.
And
me.
Morgan
and
Strawman.
so Glenn, you were watching this like crazy as the buildup was happening. Can you talk a little bit about like the nail biting thing it was waiting for us to finally get something that we could work with?
Yeah, this one was a little different than, I mean, after decades, like I've done dozen or 100, I don't even know. We've done a lot of these kind of emergent responses or priority responses, whatever you want to call it, rapid responses. And this one was different. And I think it's because we haven't had I hate saying Log4j, but a mass hyped vuln, a logoed vuln, a vuln with its own web page such as this, since the AI era or the LLM era. Like I'm using all these words loosely because I know it's not factually true, but in broad strokes. And so for this one, it was a bit more of a nightmare because the typical process of, a vuln is known or disclosed, and then POCs are eventually come out. Like it's usually a bit more linear. This time it wasn't quite so linear because every POC in air quotes that came out was kind of a fork in the road as far as is this it? And then we test it. We talked to our partners. You called them out, Bob. As everyone was kind of clamoring, is this the one? Is this the one? Because we want to make sure that we're writing our detection on the real deal, right? And it was just a different path because of all of the implied or portrayed POCs that came out as everyone was chasing cloud. And that's, again, probably another topic for later. There's no shortage of topics around InfoSec Cloud and stuff in the past. But yeah, this one was a bit more challenging for figuring out which one is real. And there was a lot of fake before we got to the real. And that was, that sucked. But what's fun from our perspective is we get to see the impact of those fake exploits being launched across the web. And so what we see on our dashboard is the actual POC with some, we'll just say it's a confirmed POC detection. But in our logs, we can also go see the fake or the supposed POCs that were fired. And I think that's going to be a blog post for a different day, or maybe a story for a different day. But there is definitely a evolving Krebs cycle. I don't mean that Krebs, but like water cycle of POCs and vulns now in the AI LLM era.
Yeah, it's not great. So I also want to give Noah a chance to do a bit, because the one thing that I did not talk about earlier, and I want Noah to be able to talk a bit about it, because Noah had to do a lot of cranking. Monday was a rude awakening for Noah, because I was awake and working and typing, and I threw about 40 pages of stuff at him. And what I want to do is I want to see, I need to share screen. How can I do that? No, it's not. That's not. I have no idea what I'm doing, guys. This is great. I know you all believe that too. Let's take that off. We'll share this thing. Share screen and window. I can do this.
Yeah, the interface here is different. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm rusty, guys. I'm rusty. I haven't potted in like forever. So Noah and I, and mostly Noah, we have been. I mean, we're sort of joined at the hip on this thing, but Noah does most of the typing. Thank the great maker on something that we provide to our customers, which is called At the Edge, our weekly intelligent brief, as you can actually see on here. And I'm not reading this. I wanted to scroll down. This was probably our most comprehensive. It's also
for Ant.
For who?
For ants.
Ants? Why?
It's just really small and tiny.
It's so small.
Yeah, I don't want to read it. I want to scroll through it. There's lots and lots of stuff in it. It provides.
Apparently, you don't want other people to read it either.
Oh my gosh!
Are this thick, Bob. Like this.
Okay,
thick.
all right. Is that better? Is that better?
More.
Yeah, that's much.
I'm kidding.
Better.
Okay. So anyway, what we've done, actually, you know what, Noah? I'm just gonna really quickly just blather, and then you can talk about the real stuff. So we try to make this very consumable for the decision makers. Yeah, I'm talking like customer stuff now. Sorry, decision makers and our customer base. helping them understand what this is. React2Shell is not a game, and we'll talk more about that later. It is not the next Log4j either, so we'll also talk about that later. But so it goes through all the things. We actually provided, and Noah did a fantastic job organizing this, because it was different than anything we've done of the past 4 or 5 of these. And there's just lots of really good information in here. We kind of give an overview of the attack. In this case, we actually managed to come up with like 4 or 5, maybe 6 threat actor profiles. Like, we don't name groups because that's silly. It's not silly at a national security level. It's silly at every other level. And so we don't do that. But we're basically using network fingerprinting to do a lot of that. And we kind of just go in through here. And for everyone that hasn't looked at a blog post about this stuff, this is what the exploits look like. It's a bit of JSON inside a form. They send this thing out, and you're going to see exactly what they've been sending out, because I have about 300 legitimate the initial access payloads. I stripped out all the garbage ones, and I'll do that in a minute.
It's like tailor-made for nuclei. It's awesome.
Yeah, actually kind of was. So here's everything. I'm gonna shove this down now, because no, I want you to talk about, so you were watching this on Friday with the rest of us. Hopefully you were smarter than I was and actually used your weekend more appropriately for as a human being. And then Monday you come back, and then Monday you come back and this deluge hits you. So tell everybody about this.
I think it's fun. I mean, everybody just saw the weekly, right? I think it's fun when you're just hit with all of this different information. That's kind of like the sausage making process, if you will, for these weeklies. And it's kind of a new thing, right? This is what, like our 5th or 6th or something like that. But just to take a step back, the weekly that you all just saw, that is a weekly intelligence brief we're sending to all GreyNoise customers. So if you're a GreyNoise customer, you're receiving that. And so it's just one of the extra perks that you get as a GreyNoise customer. We go through a lot of different stuff. Bob just showed you, like, we actually share the J4T and J4Hs, which is pretty cool. And then also just information that we don't share widely, share publicly. We really put in there too. But the weird thing about this, so okay, if I hop over and I'm looking in the weekly right now, Bob, I'm looking at the IPs per hour, because I remember Bob shared this with me, and it's this bar chart over time, number of unique IPs that are new hitting this tag every day. And it was around like 10 to 15 IPs every day hitting this tag that we have not seen before. And I think, like, Bob and I were kind of talking about it, and we're like, hey, this doesn't really seem like the type of IP turnover you would expect if this was something like Log4j. So maybe that's like a seed for you, Bob. I'm going to talk more about that.
Yeah, so before we do that, because I appreciate the jump in, and we are going to talk about why this is not Log4j. And I first want to go, so I don't think this is, I mean, I made fun of it earlier.
Should you explain what this is in case someone's just really walking in blind?
Wait. If you are joining this Stormwatch podcast and do not know what React2Shell is, first of all, you should React2Shell like everybody else did. And then I get some people weren't on when it first came up. I did it for them. And what's Log4j? That's pretty cool. All right. So if you are so young that you don't remember Log4j, back in the before times, almost the before times, somebody found, and it turns out that someone had found this 6 months earlier, because we had evidence in logs that there was a GitHub and whatever. Well, I won't go into that detail. A really cool thing that you could do to Log4j, you could just send it a really cool string and it will execute all that stuff with whatever permissions that the daemon was running at, all the way wherever anything that could parse a log string would be. So you could sense, so you could, it could be a badge reader, it could be traffic lights, it could be a log processor deep within the bowels of your organization that just happened to get a log that was sent to a web server and it never got patched, but it's deep within your organization and it got hit bad. And Glenn, if you want to, if you want to pull up the Log4j tag to show that it's still a thing, because every year, real big, I wouldn't say all like giant, but like organizations every year get reinfected with Log4j because they don't use run 0 and don't keep a tab on everything they've got running. So they don't know that they've like actually backported something or that they unfixed something, because sometimes people just did mitigations. So Log4j attacks happen all the time, because if they get lucky just once, you're screwed. And the big thing about Log4j was was pretty much everywhere. It was like everyone started to care about supply chain security after it, and everyone that works in a real corporation knows that, because you get third-party requests to verify it even now that you don't have Log4j exposure anymore, because everything is broken in cyber and the compliance crap is useless. Anyway, so for Log4j, the other thing about Log4j is when it hit, tens of thousands of folks were like, I'm just going to slam the internet with this because it's everywhere, and if I'm first, I can get good stuff. And so it was a huge boom, gigantic burst, with a taper off into 2022, I think that was. So it started 2021 and it taper off into 2022, but we still see hits all the time for this every single day. The exposure was way larger because you didn't know where it would be. It could be embedded in organizations. This is a vulnerability in a part of React, which is one of the worst web frameworks ever made by anybody. And this is a component, which is obviously also one of the worst things ever made by anybody. And there's a vulnerability in here that is just as bad, basically, because you don't have to do much as you're going to see to like run whatever you want on the end system on there. And they also make it easy to do a check to see if the thing is actually running the React server components. And then if they are, boom, they can do lots of fun stuff depending on what environment that's in. And I forget the exact number now from Census, but the number that everyone uses, there was like 80,000 IP based vulnerable nodes as of Friday of last week. Yeah. And thanks to Built With,
that doesn't count vhost, right?
Yeah, okay. And thanks to Built With and the Common Crawl and Wapalizer and whatever out there, who all see things from like what Todd, could you talk about, since you brought it up, talk about the vhost, because I just gave you a good setup for it.
Yeah, sure. Bob, Glenn, not you, Noah. You two might remember trying to count things on the internet back when we worked at another company that started with R and ended with a number. And yeah, we ran into this a lot, right? Because we were counting services on the internet. How many telnet servers are there? How many HTTP servers? Well, it turns out when you count HTTP servers by IP address, you're severely undercount. You're not counting websites. You're counting servers that are running HTTP. One server running HTTP could have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of websites on it. So that is like the big difference. So if you're an attacker, right, and you're doing real dumb scanning and you're just going after IP address, you're only going to be hitting those sites that don't have like a mod rewrite rule right in front of it, or something, whatever the equivalent is in Nginx or whatever. You are just hitting like that bare IP address. And so while Census, I think you're right. I think Census said like something like 80,000 or something. I'm like, who cares? Like, that doesn't seem very much. Well, not all websites are the same. So some of these are pretty decent websites, despite the fact they're written in React. I don't know what your vitriol is about React.
It's oh my gosh, we'll have to do a whole episode. I could go off for 3 hours on how horrible React is. And how terrible of a human being you are if you use it. It's not good. Anyway, so Todd, could you talk a little bit more about, because the vhost, like, that's great explanation, but there's like two companies that got a lot of heads up about this, and there's a reason why that they did, because there's a lot of things that might be behind them with these vhosts. Like maybe if we don't want to name them, that's fine. I don't care about naming them. I'll name them later if I feel upset. If I get upset enough. But talk a bit more about that.
So, for example, let's say you're a massive CDN, which is a content delivery network.
I have a different expansion for that acronym for them. At least one of them. But I won't go there.
And
we were not ready for Bob today.
A bunch of websites, right? And you're making sure that like load is good, and they're not obviously getting DDoSed or whatever, right? Like, so you might have, if you're hosting with one of them, that provider can offer often some kind of like little web application framework or WAF and help you out on like blocking this stuff. And so I believe we saw the same thing with the HTTP 2 bug from 2 years ago, where it was a big deal because
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
What about
the HTTP /2 bug had to do with just like an asynchronous way to attack websites and kick them offline. And in that case, I think it was Cloudflare and Fastly, I want to say.
Yeah, it was Fastly. Yeah, it was Fastly too. Yeah.
In that one where they got a heads up. They worked with I'm gonna say like the W3 consortium on this bug. Like it was actually pretty decent.
It's huge.
Like through and through. Like your big players got a hold of it. Slightly smaller players got a hold of it. Like it was a very kind of like like best case, like expanding embargo style disclosure, because it's a protocol level thing, right? I think F5 was involved in that too because of Nginx. Apache was involved. So like the operators and like the web server makers in the HTTP2 case all worked together and did a pretty decent job, I think. Now, you will have a huge long tail in HTTP2. You have a huge long tail of people who are left out in the cold. They learn about it at the same time everybody else does, which is the case that happened here, right? And so I am actually really curious about like how would disclosure go differently? Like, was HTTP2 better because it was like an expanding embargo, or was this better because it's everybody all at once except for two? Because we've seen leaks, right?
I think there's something fundamentally different when there's
right? Was a leak. It tried to do the expanding embargo thing, but then failed when it got leaked.
Yeah, but I think there's something fundamentally different when it's a protocol level thing versus, you know, a useless framework problem that no one should be running.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And again, and why just two big players? And why just two big players?
Yeah.
And also why so fast? Why talk to everybody? Why you could disclose
yeah,
it to them.
The timeline was something like
days, like
November 26th to first discovery. Well, first public admission of discovery to December 5th, where it landed on
the 29th was disclosed. The 3rd, or sorry,
that is fast.
The 3rd was public disclosure. The 4th was POC.
Pretty quick. Like with my rinky-dink little nothing bugs, I give them 60 days.
the other thing that has exacerbated this, and Todd alluded to it a little bit with Shadow IT, but I'm gonna name and shame something else, which is all you vibe coders out there, because for some stupid reason, if you're vibe coding an app and it's not doing your useless icky Python garbage stuff, because it does that, it's fine. Like you can like, I don't mind that one. Like whatever, I forget what the framework uses, but that's right. It's gonna go to JavaScript, and it's almost gonna inevitably default to Next.js and React, because like every GitHub repo on the planet pretty much just uses that because people aren't creative anymore.
Is it because of GitHub popularity, or is it because like nobody understands it, so they're always asking the same question over and over again on Stack Overflow?
It could be that too. Yeah, it could be that. I mean, look, and React is popular, Tailwind is popular. I'm ragging on it mostly because I rag on popular things, but the reality is like, the vibe coding things get produced with that. So there's vibe coding apps all over the internet. There's vibe coding apps hanging off of everybody's perimeter. There's vibe coding apps hanging inside your networks right now, which is terrible.
Branded vibe coded apps hanging around.
Yeah, there is. And so Todd, again, I'm not just doing callous pitches here. This is a pretty bad thing, because we're going to be seeing this all the time. It's going to be in stuff that gets past phishing kits and into your networks directly. We're going to see it on the internet forever, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
There's a Chrome plugin for this.
Huge long tail.
So like you should be using something like, I mean, I would prefer you use Run Zero, because I know it works. I don't know if anything else works, but I know that works. That's the only thing I use now. So like so I'm just saying, like, you should be doing that. But the vibe coding has exacerbated this problem big time. So if you guys, I'm going to slide into some of the technically things that we have been noticing about this and why it is not Log4j, but why it is also still bad. So
I do think that's interesting that like ChatGPT, Claude, and I don't know, whatever third one you like they have a preference for React.
Yeah.
When you don't know what you're doing, you're saying like, make me a Roblox clone. Like,
I mean, they also all like purple, so I don't know.
Okay. I was gonna say, and they all generate a terrible purple backgrounded and whatever thing that you can actually go see. It's terrible. So the one thing I want to talk about first is, and I've been sharing these links like on the socials. Okay, the only social I actually talk to right now, which is Mastodon. And like I haven't updated this since today because I've been busy writing other stuff. This is the current. I normally don't show maps, but I'm showing a map on purpose this time. So this is where the attacks and probes are coming from, because they are both probes and attacks. They aren't just all attacks. And you've got other blogs which will remain nameless that say silly things like China Nexus and US Nexus, and I don't really care about that stuff. What it is there's a handful of different attacker categories out there. So first off, to get it, there are script kiddies slinging things. They are here. They're part of it. You'll see some of the payloads that are the initial access ones. I'm not going to show any stage 2 stuff or whatever. The vast majority of the folks doing, or the groups or wherever the sources are of attack, are capable attackers. They're not nation state level. We maybe one or two now. We'll talk a bit about that. But for the most part, these are capable, probably organized crime, seeing an opportunity and taking advantage of an opportunity, knowing that they're not gonna be able to get to everything, but there's 80,000 to pick from, and if people don't patch stuff after they've taken over the system, because that's what happens with attackers, they're better than the defenders. They will patch. I mean, they'll be on the system and take it over, but they'll also patch like the companies. And so they're good, but this map is really telling, because, and hopefully the mouse cursor works, we normally see stuff coming from here, and we normally see stuff coming from this side of South America, and we normally see stuff coming from here. And I'm not gonna talk about like you can zoom around. We are seeing stuff. So the couple of things about this: we aren't seeing a whole lot of use of residential proxies, at least not like, if you've been reading the blogs at all. Yeah. Terrible year for bad year. You're gonna be sick of me saying it in 2026. It's gonna be always saying 2026. And so we're not seeing that, which we would actually see a bit down here. And there's a good chunk in Brazil, but there's a lot in Mexico and a lot over here. So we're not seeing those. And normally we would see stuff come from here, but the networks are crap here. And the networks outside of big cities in Mexico are crap. And all the networks over here are crap. And by that, I mean, like, they're behind carrier grade NAT, which you're going to hear a lot about next year from us as well. The connections are really unstable. So if they're trying to go and make an attack work and try to maintain persistence and be able to answer back to whatever, it's really hard for this kind of attack to go do. So we're not seeing these folks do that thing. They're either not involved, or they're focusing on, like, they're probably like 90 million wwws or whatever you're going to put domain name on the vhost that Todd was just talking about. They're going direct because they don't need to scan the internet for it. They've got all these wonderful directories. Like, everyone, if you want to spend $100 in AWS, you could get all the wwws that are running Next.js from there, because the common crawl is free. You just got to pay for S3 access and you get it. And $100 is great if you can take over a good organization. There's lots of big named organizations that we're going to see in the next 60, 90 days come out. Actually, it's gonna be great, because if anybody gets compromised in January in California, they have to say it like right away. So we're gonna know in January if anybody waited till then to compromise people, because that would be cool. We get to hear who got popped in January. So we're not going to see a lot of that, because there's already a directory of those out there. And one reason why we're only seeing this tiny amount, and I'll go back to there real quick. Where did I put that here? Is it here? No, it's there. We've seen, and I will refresh to show that this is happening fairly quickly. It's 475 before. It is now 479. There we go. We're seeing about 5 new IP addresses an hour touch us, and we're going to talk about new IP addresses like Noah set me up earlier for in a minute. So we're not seeing the gigantic spike. We're not seeing people go everywhere with this thing. We are seeing careful, capable attackers being very methodical about what they're doing, which is not great for you all or us, because it means that they're smart, they're clever, they know how to not trip things if they don't want to. Some of them aren't great, but for the most part, what we've seen have actually been pretty good. And I want to switch screens real quick, so that I can sort of give a little bit about why this is also one of the most interesting new developments we've actually been seeing. So this is a different This is a different notebook. Sorry about blinding everybody from being dark to light here, whatever. And so what I did yesterday morning, and I have more follow-up from this, and Noah talked a bit about it inside the At the Edge, which most of you don't have. Sorry about that. I mean, I may have leaked all that information to you on our GitHub, so you might want to go look there. But
Can I interrupt you, Bob? We have
Yeah.
actually made the decision to share at the edge with everybody as an exception this time, just because of the nature of the threat.
Go. All right. So all of my fellow peers in the executive team, which is probably rooting that made this idea.
We say
Dude,
thank
you're
you,
amazing.
Uncle
You are. Yeah. It's no longer. You are amazing. Oh my gosh. I can give you a big hug next time we're in a meeting. It's gonna be awesome. So the thing that we have been seeing this time, and what makes the low IP count even more insidious, is it's probably not actually a lot of different attackers doing it. And normally what we see when we're getting attacks, this was up until about mid-year this year, we have a long history of IPs in GreyNoise. We, like, when Andrew first fired up GreyNoise back in 2018 on his laptop, saved all the data. So we have all that data in our current thing. And we know when we first saw an IP in GreyNoise going back to 2018. And in a lot of cases, like for most of the attacks we've seen, it's reinfected Mirai bots and all these other things that are just slamming things on the internet because nobody cares. It's the internet. It's like Todd and I tried for years to get it cleaned up. We failed miserably. That's why we're in different jobs now. So
we made progress. We helped Belgium.
Yeah, we did. We actually did help Belgium by shaming Belgium. So there you go.
We made a bunch of waffle jokes and a lot of Windows machines went away.
Yeah, it was great. It was so what we're seeing with this is, so I will explain this quickly, but as slowly as quickly as possible. That doesn't make any sense, but that doesn't matter. I reduced the number of IPs to the ones that we just saw starting in December of this year. That means like every single dot on here is an IP address first seen on the 1st of January. I keep saying the 1st of December or after it. And on this x-axis is like, this is the 4th, like overnight or like early morning in the 5th. This is the 6th. This is the 7th. This is the 8th. Whatever. So I didn't carry it over to today because I had other things to do today. And what we're seeing is the same attacker groups being willing to fire up new IP infrastructure across diverse autonomous systems, ASNs, to bypass legacy, garbage, never updated or not updated fast enough block list. This isn't a pitch. You should use our block list. That's my pitch if you want to pitch. But they're doing it to get around the fact that, yeah, like people actually are thinking, are realizing, yeah, maybe we should start blocking things again. So they're firing up new IP addresses every single day. So like this keeps going down. So as we get to the top here, when I did this on like midday on the 8th, this was brand new IP address right here going with this J4T and J4HA combo. The other thing that they're also doing, it's the same attackers, because I can tell by the payloads that we see, mixing up the J4s and J4Hs to try to bypass the signature based. So I'm sorry to everyone that thinks J4 is the best thing in sliced bread. It is awesome for threat hunting. I might not want to rely on it for blocking because they just changed up everything. They can control the TCP stack, because that's one I will zoom in on that one just for everybody. This is wild. J4. This thing. It's the options chaining. This is insane. This is insane. Changing the MSS. This is all insane stuff here. And all they have to do is change it enough to bypass really poorly written detection. And this is the J4H, which is the first part of the J4 HTTP string. All they got to do is change up one header, or in this case, either not put what the language setting was, or change up the setting, or actually use a different language like server that's out there and be able to go do that. So the nature of this attack is so different because it's the same attacker groups doing the exact same thing, just without the ability to do the detection of it out there. And I'm actually curious because Todd hasn't heard me say this yet, and he hasn't heard, he obviously didn't have the report before because
we've never met each other
until now. So what is that? Does that shock you at all that we've now got that as now standard practice for basically moderately capable attackers?
I'm surprised. So two things. I'm surprised that these attacker groups are firing up new version to you, right? IP space for this. And doing it in such a way where they have that kind of control over like TCP options, that's bananas to me. Like nobody does that. That's like old-timey, like 90s style hacking. I don't know why they're doing that. That's you've got people with like gray in their beards, like working this job, doing that. Secondly, I'm also very weirded out that, like, given the fact that the attack seems fairly straightforward because everything is straightforward once you know how to do it. Given that even that now we have a pretty good idea of like what's the slop and what's the chop. I don't know what's the opposite of slop.
I like it. Slap chop.
Yeah, sure. You know, the nuclei module works more or less. Like there's a bug open on it right now, but it'll get resolved here in a minute. But the nuclei module works. So like, how come we're not seeing just like the crush, right? That you typically see with stuff like this? Is it just because it's December 9th and it's only been
well, could it be the CDNs that we mentioned earlier though?
What's that?
The CDNs and laugh like updates that kind of happened.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be it, right? Like, but not everybody's on there, and they don't even have like a majority. They'll have like they have like a plurality, but they don't have everything, right?
And there's 80,000 raw IP addresses that aren't patched. Like I've actually been watching Reddit. Like I don't normally do that.
And I read the Intel report. Thank you, Noah. And I think that like, I mean, you have like a variety of payloads in there, right?
Yeah.
Like doing lots of different things.
Yeah, I'll do
so
that.
Like,
I mean, this has already been
says like it's several groups, but I don't know. I don't do any thread.
It has already been attributed to several state actors as well, which would not be surprising that they would have access to the TCP changes that you mentioned.
Yeah,
a broad assortment of IPs to send from, while changing up the J4 detection or what would be detected.
Yeah, and like these are stuff that we would actually see being dropped by like the SSH and Telnet folks, like for the Mirai build. A lot of this is Mirai. Right. A lot of it is crypto miners. I tried to get rid of all of the things that were just, hey, can I do compute? But I literally did this 5 minutes before. And so, but you can see them on here. There's checks to like, there's immediate exfil attempts for like ENV and AWS creds. And there's a bunch that are looking for Anthropic API keys. So please don't put them in like places that people are going to do that. That's not great.
Oh, don't worry. Your vice president will put them there for you.
And so they're doing lots and lots of different things. And so to your point, like they're throwing these out there, and these aren't hard to run. And I've actually pulled a lot of the stage 2 stuff. I was gonna have a couple folks that were working on that to come on, but like they're not done doing a bunch of stuff. So we might do another one at some point to talk about the stage 2 if there's interesting. We are seeing when I submitted a bunch of this stuff to VirusTotal and a couple other ones, and we're seeing unique variants of a lot of different things because that's what you would expect, because it's not hard to make variants anymore. Like we've kind of made it easy.
Yeah, you throw a few rands in there, right? And you just kind of randomize your ordering and your strings and all that. So.
Yeah. So the one thing I did want to talk about before we move on to a little bit more stuff is we also threw out a labs blog today. So Ignore writes really, really beautiful front blogs for the brand so that it looks good, it sounds good, it's grammatically correct and all that kind of stuff. And I pound on keyboard and sometimes get English out of it.
Noah's like the TV voice and
this is a
TV
really
personality,
cool blog.
and Bob is the radio personality.
Yeah, so I have been like, so I've had the misfortune of having access to all this data, and so I've been watching all these things come through and running it through a bunch of algorithms, to see okay, what's novel, what's new, what's not just run-of-the-mill garbage, whatever. Because like if you let your system get crypto mined, like half the people that were whining on Reddit about their Next.js installs, I'm sorry, you should have patched. It's not my fault. So what we saw in here was that like I saw this thing, and I'll zoom in just a little bit more because like Glenn's gonna complain about it if I don't. And I was like, oh wow, like I didn't realize people were still doing this. So there is something called Mesh Central. The links are in the blog, and it's actually a really nice open source way of doing remote control over stuff that you own. That's in your sphere of control, which you should do over Tailscale and not put anything on the internet, because that's what Tailscale is meant for. Yeah. And I don't work for Tailscale. I have no money in them. Do WireGuard if you don't like corporations. I don't care. Tailscale's great. But so you should do that so nothing exposed. So a couple of things about this. I saw this. I'm like, oh, this was the only one since the beginning of these campaigns that are coming out. I'm like, well, I'll dig into this because it's novel and this won't bore me. And so the one domain name that was in there turns out to be really fresh. Like it got fired up in November. But shout out to my pals at Domain Tools, and especially Ian over there, because they did some spelunking, and the IP addresses associated with some of the domains under this one were used previously. I'm going to update the blog with that information. So this is a attacker that's methodical, persistent, knows what they're doing, spins stuff up, has architecture, whatever. It's great. So this might be a bit more than capable. Noah had some good, like Noah, like if you actually had some thoughts around that earlier, and like I want to get your thoughts on it in a minute before we do this. And so like I'm like this stuck in my craw. I'm like, okay, there's a there, and like whatever. I'm not sleeping, so I'll do whatever. And it's the standard stuff. It is literally just a mesh and like a mesh central install. So there's nothing spectacular about that. What is spectacular about that is I'm like, our friends at Census probably know a lot about Mesh Central, and boy, do they. There's about 6,000 exposed Mesh Central nodes on the internet, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. Because that it should all be behind Tailscale. Why do you have this on the internet? But anyway, and so there's links to be able to sell this stuff and grab all the data from Census there because they're amazing. And I said, I'm going to take all those IP addresses because we get to do that because we're research pals. And I'm like, I'm going to compare it to what we've got in the grid, our global observation grid, and say, what have we seen in the global observation grid? And we've seen 116 of these things tap us in the global observation grid. So a couple of things. Some of those are definitely compromised hosts that are running these things on the internet and not deliberately being used as T2 servers. Because if you're tapping us as well as being a command and control thing, you're a really stupid attacker. Like if you're a listening attacker and that's one of you're an absolute abject moron. You shouldn't do that. Just some friendly advice. Email me. I'll tell you how to do it the right way. But we saw
too helpful. Pull it back.
We have 116 of these from all of the worst places on the internet, but we actually saw 2 different IP addresses slinging this to us, right? Like being used in hitting us with the React2Shell thing as well. So we've got 2 IP addresses that are trying to get more of these Mesh Central installs on our cool nodes that we have set up and I should also point out that like we ran fully compromisable installs and apps running this vulnerable version of Next.js, and boy howdy were they vulnerable. We almost had to just nuke the systems from orbit because they were crypto mining like crazy. It was phenomenal.
So bad that artifact collection was a problem.
Was really slow. Like it was great. Like, so congrats to you people that got those miners on there. So the thing so I poked a little bit more because like I'm all over this. Like, when did we first see IP addresses now for the past 6 months? And you'll hear why soon. And this is not great. So since January of this year, there's a bunch of them, but since like since the 7th of November, which is when we first saw like stuff before, like 47 of them just became like fired up on the internet and started poking us. So there's a bunch of either compromised Mesh Central systems with a vuln that maybe nobody knows about, or we just have like a bunch of really stupid attackers that are slamming us from the same things they're using for C2. Like there's a lot of IP addresses on the internet, guys. Just use other ones. It's not a problem. Yeah. So this is not great because this is something that we have not. We didn't notice this. We're going to be digging into this more. You should be, and we got lots of indicators. Like I inappropriately.
You think it might be like rented infrastructure, like? The people
it might be,
the Mesh Central stuff, and then they turn around, they want to rent it out to somebody else and some other criminal group, and then the other criminal group doesn't know what they're doing, then starts doing this React business, and that's why they're bonking you with their stuff.
Yeah. So when I'm okay, sorry, Glenn.
I was going to say, AWS did have a note about like definitive attribution is challenging due to shared infrastructure among Chinese groups. Yeah. So to your point, Todd, I think absolutely.
So no, you found an interesting connection to the Mesh Central stuff earlier today. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, was it the thing with Ukraine in 24 last year? Yeah, it's just like there's something to do with state actors kind of having a preference for this, and I guess maybe it's obvious because there's the theme here is persistence versus just maybe like just right out of the box trying to pop this thing. So I guess I'm just more curious than anything else, as is I think the only non-technical guy on the call. Like, is that a big sign of some kind of state-aligned activity, or could it just be persistence outside of that?
I mean, if we're seeing state actors do opportunistic stuff, I mean, they do that for other reasons, but for this particular one, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, we do know that there's like an expiration date, right, for exploits, at least as far as like they're most valuable at the beginning. That value is going to decrease over time. So maybe if they had their eye on something and this was the last ditch effort, but Typically, no, but it's 2025 and there's no rules.
The other thing I wanted to make sure people knew about is this. I have, even before we got the thing about giving away the PDF thing, I've been inappropriately sharing indicators of compromise on GitHub. This is important. I knew we'd get to it eventually, and like this is super important. There's a lot of places hurting, and all this command and control stuff is frightening. There's a lot of it. So the URL's in there. We also put it inside the PDF, so you can get it from there. We started stuff last week. We were very good on the blog Friday, and we actually added a lot more today. And I just want to give a shout out to one reason we're able to do. Oh, I could do like the one real quick. I had this up for another reason. This is the other one. This is the recency thing as well. So like down here is like the IPs that have been around like forever, like back in like whatever. And I can go down here for that one. Actually, here this is the one. There's an animation on the internet if you want to go look at it. So like a few of them, we're back in 2020. Virtually all of them, like almost 50% of what's happening right now is all brand new IP infrastructure over here. But before I go there, you don't. I'm showing you something you all can't see because you're not us and you won't have access to this. But if you were in our Space War program, which you can talk, which you can actually at research. So research at GreyNoise.io if you're interested. Space War lets you run your own honeypots with your own profiles in our environment, around our environment, with our environment, with all of our telemetry and hardware. You can plug it in. You can do everything. Just talk to us, like research at GreyNoise.io. We can see everything that's happening on here. So this is the platform that I have been using to do a lot of the mining. Like Noah uses this on a regular basis as well. I want to give a shout out to the entire engineering team, but especially to Austin and to Jen, who are the ones that have been doing this. If it looks a little bit like Alchemy, except actually it looks nice. That's because it's using the same data backend with a lot of the same visual idioms, just implement it with expertise. Like these two folks, this is what they do. It's not what Andy's team does. This is what they do. So we sponsor Alchemy as well. So you all should do that too. You should use it. They have a Docker container. It's pretty easy. I do want to note that we are seeing the third most hit profile in our environment is the one that Remy set up across a bunch of different systems out there. And these are the ones where all the real payloads are actually hitting and where the malware has been dropping and these poor hosts are just dead. They're so bad. And we've been seeing, I can't actually scroll in here because there's a little bit of a scroll bug if they're able to see that. And they're hitting like I could go to, let's make it 100 just so you can see. We put the paths in GitHub. So you're just seeing tables that are in GitHub, but they're finding everything and they're being clever because like at the bottom of the barrel here, like they're going to see if you left Vite artifacts laying around, which is how you build stuff for this stuff. Vite's great. Vite's awesome. React sucks. The other ones there's like they're looking for Gatsby directories in case you happen to stick it in there because people run React server components with that. It's terrible. It's just everything's awful. It's horrible.
I'm getting real mixed messages because it's like not log4j, but then everything's terrible. So I need you to pick a lane.
The technologies, the technologies that are able to be compromised are wretched, horrible things that you should take the opportunity now to refactor into something more useful and less vulnerable.
That's not a lane.
Here's the thing with the log4shell bug, right? Like the big problem with it was like I drop off my exploit here and I get my shell way over here, right?
Yeah.
And that's not the case with this. It's all very classical single shot. I give you bad stuff, I get shell, right? Like that's it. And so like for that reason, I think it's very unlike log4, because the log4shell, log4j issue took forever to find like where your problem actually was. Even if you had perfect knowledge, right, of all your stuff, you don't have perfect knowledge of like how all your Java apps are built. And
that's true, because like everyone was doing like token canaries and getting those back from a place that you don't even know because of what you just explained, where it went through the full pipeline and you and sometimes you had to wait, right, for somebody to like read a log and then it would pop. And so people were like dropping exploits and then months later we're getting their shell back.
It's crazy. So we actually did manage to fill like an hour of content on here. I didn't think we'd be that long, but there's a lot like that we couldn't just like and the report that Noah put together is huge. It's ginormous. It took him forever today. It was and yesterday. It was like mostly yesterday and part of today. It was terrible. This is big. Like this is new. We're seeing completely.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Is it only? No, it's Wednesday.
Is it? I thought it was.
It's not
No.
Tuesday. It's I did it. I said welcome to Wednesday. Oh my gosh, that's how.
Did you really?
I did.
I thought that was your joke, but
no, it
It
wasn't.
can be Wednesday, Bob.
Like,
If you believe hard enough, it can be Wednesday.
it's Wednesday somewhere.
I do. Believe
It's always Wednesday somewhere.
But I wanted to get on so that we could talk about it in different forms. Some people consume video and audio better than they do text, so now you've got that as well.
And as the chat has mentioned, you can get CPE credits for this.
Ooh.
Oh, nice! I did not realize that. Good job, oh, Ron. Good. Was that Ron? Yeah.
One CPE credit for attending a 1-hour webinar.
That's terrifying.
Dang. So try to sleep well for the rest of the year, because like the attackers are burning brand new infrastructure, have complete control over network stacks, how they configure their GET requests and POST requests to bypass your nice JA4 detections, and they're clever and they're dropping things and they know what to do. Again, what I will say, a couple of things like I'll ask all y'all to close. Just some more advice. So for any attacker that did drop into here, okay, don't name the executables or shell scripts React.ext and React.sh.
That was popular,
and and if you're gonna make a bash function to use like actual like file system ops to do TCP stuff, don't name the bash function curl, because like they're looking for those strings, guys. They're looking for those strings.
There was also some that had the CVE and
maybe curl with a K.
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
launched
Like
they're like,
I mean, like I'm hoping some of those were researchers, but if you're a researcher and you're triggering unexpected software, but if you're a researcher and you're deliberately triggering unexpected software path execution stuff, you should be slapped. If I find out you did that, it's not good. It's not good. It's not your system.
I would like to introduce you to the Metasploit nuclei development community.
I know. It's one thing to but you're supposed to use that on your
authorized educational use only.
Yeah, it's out there. All right, so as people have been noticing, this is an hour. I should shut up. Noah, any parting thoughts? Your view of this, given that you've seen a lot of stuff hit us over the past year, especially in the past 8 weeks that we've been doing the At the Edge things. Like any final thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I think there's just so much information coming in and so much to kind of digest. But one thing that I didn't mention was that, remember, Bob, it was like Friday and we saw 5 IPs hit our Next.js profile, and most of it was opportunistic. But then it was like come Monday morning, it was like 200 IPs. So that's just maybe something noteworthy that I thought was kind of seemed like, you know, pretty high speed stuff. But yeah, I mean, just everybody stay in touch with us, watch our socials, and we'll put out any updates if necessary.
Todd, you got any parting thoughts for people?
I really like the suggestion of running .well-known /React.sh. That is from the chat. That is rootworm in the chat.
Oh my gosh, thank you for calling that out. Yeah. This is so good. That's awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah, like, you know, if this is the holiday surprise that we get, you know, pretty routinely in InfoSec, like, could have been worse.
Yeah, could have been a lot worse.
Call it a 7 out of 10. You know,
depends on the side of the.
It depends if you have it or not, right?
Yeah.
Like, with Log4Shell, everyone had some Java stuff somewhere, right? And Log4j was the way to log things in Java, so it was way more pernicious, I'd say, than this React junk. Unlike Bob, I don't mean to call it junk. Maybe it is junk. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like, is this the first case of vibe coded, you know, exposure because of the intersection with like ChatGPT and Claude and React, right?
That sounds like a conspiracy.
And I'm looking forward to more of that.
If
the same bug gets committed a billion times by like a million developers all using the same chatbot, like that's going to come up over and over again.
Did the AI haters drop this?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would love to. Oh, if you did, tell me privately so I can rejoice in that, so we can finally kill AI.
We might tune our detection a little bit.
Glenn, any parting thoughts on this from your, especially from your observation point? Because I tried not to bug you about this after you did all the diligent work to get the detections and everything made. So.
Yeah, I definitely laid down the sword a bit whenever we finally got the detection out. No, I think the only thing that comes to mind is it's been long enough that if you find that you have React in your environment, then you need to go ahead and do the investigation for to see if you were compromised.
That's right. Patches don't evict attackers.
Exactly.
Never
And
have.
that's a very common assumption.
And a good chunk of the payloads, the second stage payload stayed in memory and didn't drop stuff on actual.
Oh yes,
storage.
I don't
So
think we even
yeah, be
touched
careful
on
of
that, but yeah, this is mostly all in memory. So if not all in memory,
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So research at GreyNoise. So Todd, how can I reach you guys?
runzero.com/try/blog.
Okay. You all know where GreyNoise is, but if you want to run your own software or hardware deception systems, or if you want to know more about this data or talk more about what we've seen or whatever, it's research at GreyNoise.io. The three of us get that, and one of us will respond. Hopefully not me, because I don't like email. Email's bad. But you should do that if not. And I want to thank Overwatch. Overwatch this morning, I said, hey, we might do this, and she got all like, yes, we'll do this. Just tell me when, and we'll make it happen. And she made it happen. So Overwatch is the best. No one else has a better Overwatch than we do. We got the best Overwatch. Cool. All right. Well, everybody, we'll catch you hopefully. Well, unless the internet blows up again before the end of the year, we'll catch you in 2026 with some more regular storm watches, probably.
Come visit Run Zero Hour this next week.
Yeah, you should all of us. Yeah, you're